Hello, hello, hello. It's that time again. It's Monday at 5:30 in the Central Time Zone, and we are about to have our show, the live show for How It All Works. Welcome to all of those who are watching live right now, those who are watching, who will watch the replay of this later on. We just want to say a word of welcome to all of you. Man, this today's topic, the entrepreneur, the risk taker, is one that's very present and relevant in my life as a recently self-employed person, left formal employment in the midst of the pandemic. So this is going to be interesting. We got a panel full of folks who, man, they've got a plethora of experience. I mean, it's just wide range, different disciplines, different industries, different skill sets, and different stories. And so they're coming at it from all different perspectives. If you watched any of the previews over the last 2 days, 3 days over the weekend, you know we are in for a treat today. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. Take a second right now to share the stream, to share the YouTube link to your friends, to social media. Let people know that this conversation is happening, and we want to engage with you in the comments. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Yes, here we are back. We got man, we got almost everybody here. Almost everybody's on here. But man, I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time, take out of your schedule to just be with us today and talk with us about this critical topic, entrepreneurship. Man, I'm gonna try. I'm saying this to my audience. If you've been on for the last couple weeks, you know we've struggled. I've struggled with keeping in time. So I'm gonna try to just move quickly here as quickly as I can. So we're gonna make our way around the digital room, and introduce ourselves quickly for everyone. Checking the comments right now. I'm seeing that. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody's like, I'm so excited after watching that preview. So wow, man, look, those previews worked. No, thanks to me. I'm literally putting that on all of you. So we're just gonna ask everybody to come off of mute. We're gonna start with Julian, and we're gonna make our way around the digital room towards Terrell, and we're just gonna have everybody introduce themselves. So Julian, the idea wingman. I love that. Go ahead and talk a little bit to tell the people a little bit about yourself and how you come at entrepreneurship.
All right. Well, as he mentioned, my name is Julian Waddell. I mean, if you're friends with me on social media, I usually go by Julian B. That's a callback from my security days.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically, I've been an entrepreneur for since I was a kid. So, and right now, I am the COO and co-founder of TO Guy LLC. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of my um, one of my many ventures, but that's the one that has been the closest to my heart, and that's just something I've been passionate about for a lot of my life.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you for again taking time out of your schedule to be with us today. We're going next to Saba. How are you this evening? It's yes, evening. How are you this
Evening,
evening?
yes.
And tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Saba Nwakpah. I am the founder of Taguza Solutions. I started this 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, coming out of working in digital media. I worked at Essence, I worked at Food Network, HGTV, a lot of media experience, but always kind of representing digital interests at what we call traditional media firms. So that was, from print to digital, from TV to digital, social media, things of that nature. And I got to work with, the biggest clients that there are in the world, and be able to sell directly to clients and pitch never been done before, which is a big term in ad sales.
Nice.
But I always knew I wanted to do something for myself. So I had a lot of great experiences in the corporate world and lived well off of those experiences, but also was really clear about the fact that what it is I felt like I was destined to do didn't exist yet. So for that reason and others, I founded this company with the goal of pursuing solutions, and also helping people bridge from where they are to where they're trying to be. So had I've been really fortunate, and also had realistic setbacks. So I'm happy to share that today.
Yeah. That's definitely a part of the journey, and we are glad you're with us. We're glad you're with us. For those who are avid Facebook fans, and you may have bumped into Wakanda SDA, you might know Saba as a different name, the first elder. So I'm just going to leave that out there. Fredrick Bussey, talk to us a little bit, sir.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. My name is Fredrick Douglass Bussey. I am an author, coach, serial entrepreneur, / creative, in every aspect of the word. I help entrepreneurs and leaders to realize their untapped potential to create the life that they deserve. I do that through coaching and coaching programs. I also have a coaching consulting company called Icon Status. And we simply help entrepreneurs to create the life that they envision for themselves. And so I'm super excited to be here with you tonight.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Fredrick. Thank you for being with us. And then to She Did That Food. I know that's not your real name, but I just wanted to say, She Did That Food. So, Fiona, talk to us a little bit, man. Tell the people a little bit about you and a little bit about your business.
Sure, and thanks for having me on. My name is Dr. Fiona B. Lewis. I am a registered dietitian and plant-based chef. The founder and creator of LLBJ Culinary and Wellness Enterprises, the parent company, and then the She Did That Food culinary brand. By way of my background, I have taught at several universities in the realm of nutrition and wellness and public health. And I've also worked as a dietitian in the clinical and community settings. And, entrepreneurship was with me since I was in the middle of my doctorate back in 2012. But since it was not on my life plan at the time, when the Lord introduced it to me, I pretty much shrugged it off. But it never left until the point that I had to pretty much give it up in 2017, give up what I thought I should be doing, walk away from academia, got a little cold feet, went back a little bit into academia, and then finally, last month, or 2 months ago rather, I pretty much embraced entrepreneurship 100%.
Nice. Good. We appreciate, man. As you can see, folks, you're starting to come together. You're seeing all the different avenues and vantage points and perspectives that we're looking at this whole entrepreneurship thing from. So last but definitely not least, Mr. Tea Time himself, Mr. Terrel, talk to us a little bit about you and your journey, just a little, and then we'll dive into some of the questions we have.
To be short, I would say myself as a serial entrepreneur, specializing into just solving problems. My first company being Tea Time Management, which was an accounting firm, to Rideversity being a ride-sharing app for college students, and investments in Superhero Chefs as the co-owner, and a couple other things, other investors. But my main thing is to how can I have different streams of income from certain investments or partnerships that I do, and just being able to solve the world's problems that the world cannot see yet. So that's a little intro about me.
Thank you. I mean, listen, if it goes like this, we're doing okay. We're 9 minutes in, we got intros done. Usually we 5:45 or almost at the halfway mark when intros are finished. So we're doing good today. Okay, I don't want to jinx it, but we're doing good today. Just one little house cleaning item. Terrel, if you could just switch that thing.
Oh yes,
appreciate it, Doc. I'm just gonna dive into comments real quick and see what we got, man. So Brian Taylor says another great show in the making. David Hunt says this is gonna be epic. Donnell says live from New York. Gaston Pierre says let's grow and let's go. And we got some more comments in there. We are just encouraging you to dive in the comments. Let's engage. Let's make this hour the best that we can, so that we can learn from one another. The first question, I'm gonna go around the room again. This time, we're gonna start with Terrell and make our way up to the idea wingman. And that question is in one sentence. Should I repeat, or I think we got that? Did that? What should I?
Okay.
In one sentence. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible. What is entrepreneurship in one sentence? Is it possible to even do that? Do I get a turn? No. Okay. Let me be quiet. In one sentence, Terrell, talk to us. What is entrepreneurship?
I would say entrepreneurship to me in one sentence would be being able to solve the world's problems that people cannot see yet. Being able to come up with solutions to problems that the world cannot see.
I like that. I like that. I like that. That might even fit in a tweet. I don't know. It's underneath the 240 mark, but yeah, that might actually work. Fiona, Dr. Lewis, talk to us a little. In one sentence, what is entrepreneurship? See, you said it had been with you for years and years and years. What is it?
So I'm gonna one sentence. Reflect. I got a doctorate, so one sentence. Reflecting Elohim-like qualities in the marketplace.
Ooh.
Oh wow, I love that.
Reflecting Elohim qualities
in the marketplace.
Okay.
You got
All
one
right.
sentence. I'm gonna leave it like that.
Okay. Man. Okay. All right. Fredrick Bussey, talk to us. I don't know if it's possible. The others have taken some stabs at it, and they've done well. So, in one sentence, what is entrepreneurship? Oh, man. I think you're muted. Hold on. We got you. There we go. Go ahead.
I would describe entrepreneurship as creating the life you want out of thin air.
Out of thin air.
Like that.
I like that too. So man, we got a lot. In the comments, folks, tell us your one-liner. In the comments, tell us your one sentence, okay? Your one sentence. What is entrepreneurship? In the comments. We want to see a couple of them. I'm looking at the comments now. I see that there's a number of people watching. I don't see any one-liners. I want to see yours. Creating the life you want out of. That's good. Okay. I'm gonna say Saba. I was tempted to say First Elder, but I'm gonna say Saba. Saba.
I am just Saba here.
Yes, just Saba here. Okay, Saba, tell us in one sentence, what is entrepreneurship?
I think it's trying, failing, and trying again until you get a profit.
Woo. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You're right.
That's good. These are all hashtags, like every last one of them. Julian, my bad, dude. You have the unfortunate.
I know. I was like, oh man. It's like, how can? It's like, especially the Elohim one. I'm like, man.
we got all kind. We got other languages in here. Come on, Jay. Come on, TO guy. Let's hear it.
I'm just gonna make it simple because it's like I think everything embodies it, but I feel like ultimately entrepreneurship is being an agent of change. Not just as a person, not just an organization, but agent of change. Being an agent of change.
The man did not. He stood up to the task, man. He proved he's equal, man. He's like, nah, you guys aren't gonna have your tweetable moment and not me, you know. So you put that out there. Being agent of change. Put the little dash that says Julian Waddell or T.O. Guy. That's what you got to do, man. That's good. That's good. I'm still looking in the comments. Lenore Reynolds Jones says taking the tools given to leave a lasting legacy. Oh, that's good.
Nice.
That's good. David Hunt says wisdom. Just the one word. He says wisdom. And I just from you guys facial expressions, I'm seeing that you recognize that entrepreneurship definitely requires some wisdom. So let's dive into the next question. And we're moving now, man. Man, I like this. We're moving. What surprised you the most about being in business for yourself? I always find this to be a very interesting answer. What surprised you the most about being in business for yourself? I would love to add one to this, but we're gonna do in random order right now. So we're gonna start with Dr. Lewis. Ah, my bad, Terrell. But we're going to start with Dr. Lewis, and we're going to go to Saba, and then we're going to go to Julian. Then we're gonna go around. Yeah. So, Fiona, talk to us. What surprised you the most about being in business for yourself?
I think it all relates to self-belief. I didn't realize how strong and how innovative and resourceful I really am. Like, it gave me a new level of self-discovery.
Okay, that's good. Self-discovery, man. Look, it's a journey. What you set out to create, sometimes when you actually create it, is not exactly what you had in mind. That's amazing. That's amazing. Saba, what surprised you the most about being in business for yourself? What surprised you the most about being in business for yourself?
I have two things, but they're super quick. One.
No. Yeah, this we're not on the one sentence anymore.
Okay, all right. Still trying to be efficient because I feel like that's also a quality of entrepreneurs. But
oh, come on. See, that was 1A, okay? That was 1A. Go ahead.
I was very surprised at how easily, like how little paperwork you just needed to just start a business. Like, it is not an act of Congress to register with the state and get a bank account. Like, you're in business. I think that was like, oh, that's it? Like, it was kind of underwhelming in how official it all felt. Separately, I think one of the things that I worried about was transitioning from having a corporate job and really a corporate community. What that transition would be like into like the entrepreneurial community and connections. It's just a very different pace. Wow. It's different types of ways in which you can connect with people. And I've been surprised at how generous entrepreneurs generally are. I think sometimes it's considered to be super competitive, but there's a lot of goodwill and excitement for other entrepreneurs and wanting to see other people succeed. So I think that was also something that surprised me, because that's different from a corporate setting where like there's one job and we're all fighting for the job. So it is like naturally like, no, I want you to fail. And you failing is my success. It's just
exactly
different.
Right. Knives are out. Right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Man,
like you win, we all win. I love that.
That resonates. I mean, that resonates. That resonates with me as well. If that resonates with you in the comments, let us know. I mean, that resonates. I like that. I like that. Julian, I'm not putting you last this time, sir.
Okay.
and then we're going to Terrell, and then we're going to Fredrick. Well, Fredrick, this time you're gonna close it out. We're bringing in the closer. Okay. So Julian, what you got?
So
what surprised you the most about? I mean, this is a weird one to ask you, but anyway, go ahead. Because you've been in business for yourself probably longer than you've been in business for others. Go ahead, sir.
For me, what I didn't recognize throughout, I didn't recognize this until college actually, and is how integral necessity is in the success of the business you're trying to create.
Necessity.
So I mean, and what I mean by that. Is that a lot of times is like a lot of people when they're thinking about taking a risk or going after becoming an entrepreneur,
right?
It's like they're only thinking along the line of let me stick my foot in the water.
Okay.
So it's not a necessity at the moment. So when that happens, you have your safety net. So you're not worrying about what could go wrong, what could happen. So you're not all the way in.
Yes.
But once it's a matter of necessity, you get to the point like this has to work. And every time you get to that point where it has to work, the success becomes exponential.
Oh, wow.
And you look back at all the different times where you went after a venture where you're thinking to yourself, what did I do wrong? It's the necessity. So I have this one little thing. I know most of you all probably have seen this. Is like a lot of people give the analogy about when you jump off of a cliff, you're putting a plane together, right? And one of the things about that, a lot of people think about is like entrepreneurship, putting a plane together, but they're not thinking about the reason why the person is putting a plane together is because they don't want to hit the ground. It's not about putting the plane together. It's like, how do I not die?
How do I not die?
That's necessity. Necessity is saying, this has to work.
My goodness.
There's no other option. And so because of that necessity, it's like 9 times out of 10, more often than not, even in your failures, it's like you just wanted to like make sure that you don't die, like in that plane. Even through all of that, it's like you are successful more often than not.
Man, you can't hear the Hammond playing right now, but it's playing right now. We can. They're wrapping you. They're wrapping you up. They're calling you in. It's time to land. Terrell. What surprised you the most about being in business for yourself? What surprised you the most?
I would say the most thing that surprised me the most would have to be that there are no places to turn in your excuses or your sick pay or whatever the case might be. So I say that to say is like you're the boss. It starts and ends with you,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can't say, "Oh, can I call out today?"
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. You talking to yourself. So I feel like that pretty much kind of like cancels out of like how you're successful. You only can blame you for whether you're successful or you fail.
Wow.
And I feel like it'd be a motivation of being able to say like, "Hey, I have it all on the line." My last point would be that, which I said the other day, which was a snippet that people survive off your success. As you get into entrepreneurship and you have people that you're creating jobs and you're creating opportunities, if you're not successful, people don't eat. Lights get cut off. You know, it's so much weight on you. So depending on how successful you are is going to be of how much you're going to impact this world and how much people are going to literally daily live in check by check, surviving off of you. So I would say that's a surprising thing because it's like you get in and you like, if I make a mistake, dang, can 3 people suffer from that mistake? So that is a surprising weight that you have to worry about as you grow as a company, especially in the restaurant industry that I'm also in. That's crazy. But that's what I would have to say.
Man, that's good. That's good. We're getting some good perspective here already. Fredrick Bussey, talk to us a little bit. Give us. This is not the one sentence answer now. What surprised you the most about being in business for yourself? Talk to us.
Well, I think one thing that continues to surprise me is how one insight can transform your entire business. And when you get that insight, how high you can go. The fact that there is an unlimited ceiling, right? And you can take that from one particular shift in your mindset, one transformation, personal transformation. You can do some incredible things, and I think that is something that is unique about entrepreneurship in that way. If there was another thing I would say, it would also be the fact that your success in business is tied to your personal growth.
Wow.
So the more you grow,
Wow.
the more your business grows.
Wow. That's
so
good.
Yeah, those two things are probably the most profound things that I've discovered through my years of entrepreneurship.
Man. Woo, folks. You're in for it. You're in for it. I mean, yeah, that I couldn't agree with you more. I don't know if anybody else wanted to touch on it, just random. Did anybody else want to share anything else that just kind of came to your mind as others were talking, or as some other comments were being made, or that you thought of since you last spoke that on this question of the experience of being in entrepreneurship and some of the surprises you had along the way. Does anybody else want to touch that?
Yeah, I would just say that the biggest thing is that you learn as you go, and there's not a complete manual on your job because you pretty much have to be every job at one thing. So you're learning. It's not like you go into orientation and they have it lined up and you're looking at the presentation. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. They're gonna train me on that.
Right.
You were the accountant one time. You're the operator. Whatever you got to do to make that successful. There's not a manual. So if you're looking for like something, even if you look online, it might be steps to do it. When you're in it and it becomes, like you said, Julian, necessity, you pull in everything. Like
I want to add to that. It's like that right there. It's something that's key in regards to having to wear all those hats. So the way that the corporate life will train you is like you have to have all of this experience, and even with having all of that experience, you're not qualified. Think along the line of when a person graduates. You're automatically this point where you have to have experience to get the job, but you need the job to get experience. But within entrepreneurship, you just have to figure things out. And because of that act of figuring things out, you become more prepared.
Wow. It's so good. So good. I am oh man, I'm just gonna click over to the comments real quick here and see what we got here. Man, together everyone achieves more, like that. Donnell says that. systems seem to be counterproductive to true success. Somebody else's comment. Necessity. A lot of folks saying necessity. It forces you to power through your failures and learn from them. That's good. This has to work again. Necessity. There is no plan B, and there's no manual. I like that. So we're getting some good comments here. What I want to take a moment to do real quick is I don't know how many of you in the comments went to the group on Facebook and figured out what some of the criteria was to win the giveaway. So this is the question. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and we'll just kind of see who followed the instructions and see if we have a winner. But if just depending on how many people you have invited to this show today, tell us how many people you invited to the show today. Just put that in the comments. How many people? Give us a number. Did you invite 2? Are they here? Did you invite 20? Are they here? I doubt they are. But however many you had invited to the show today, let us know in the comments, and we will tally that up and see who the winner is. We're gonna go into my favorite section of the show, which is the stories. And the stories are pretty much, I mean, for me and for a lot of the How It All Works family, this is what we come for. We come for these stories, and I wanna start. Man, where are we gonna start? I'm gonna start with We're gonna go around the digital room again, and we're gonna go right in that order that we had before. We're gonna start with Julian, and we're gonna make our way around to Terrel. So Julian gave me a picture that he wanted me to share, and he's gonna tell us the story behind this picture. So Julian, let me pull that up. Let me see what we got here. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. it ran away from me. There it is. So Julian, talk to us about this.
Okay. So, right here, this is I was in elementary school, and a year prior to this point, I really wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know that entrepreneur is what it is. I just know that I wanted my own business. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna try my best not to be long-winded here, because this is one of the things that I guess is pivotal to how I became the person that I am right now. But my parents gave me some money, and the way they gave it to me, because my parents weren't the type to give allowances. That my parents weren't. They were entrepreneurs themselves. Mm-hmm. And so their major mindset was, okay, everything that I give, you have to think of it like an investment. And so I'm thinking, okay, what's an investment? And they're explaining what an investment is. And so they gave me this amount of money, and I buy a bag of blow pops.
Oh no.
I take those blow pops, and I had a plan. I wasn't planning on eating them. The only ones I liked anyway were the green apple ones, so I was fine with it. So I went to school, and interesting side note, my teacher, who happens to be one of your guest's mother, she allowed me to sell my blow pops. Lorraine Bussey.
Look at that. This is a small world.
Wow.
So I'm selling these I'm thinking I'm selling these blow pops. I sell 2. I'm selling them for 25 cents. And I calculated it was 20 blow pops in there. That's $5.
Come on.
All right. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna sell these and I'm gonna make the $5. And then it's like that's me doubling it already. So I sell 2, make 50 cents, and then everybody asks for credit. And I give them all away on credit. And I go tell my mom and dad when they pick me up. Like I tell them, like, okay, I was a success. I have credit. And they're like, I mean, I'm gonna say it nice, but boy, it's like you don't have credit. It's like you just have 50 cents.
That's all.
I said, Mom, no, this is exactly what I planned. I'm gonna come back tomorrow, and I'm gonna add interest to that if they don't have it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. None of that worked. There's people still today that still owes me money.
We got to go find them.
But what that ended up doing specifically for me is that since the people didn't pay the quarter to me, it's like I learned the concept of bartering. Like, okay, you don't have this. Well, why don't you help me with this? Why don't you let me have this pencil, or let me get this thing that you brought in? I ended up making more money or more gaining more resources from that. So a year later, that my dad got with me and allowed me to create an LLC. And in that LLC, it actually says it's a bartering club.
Wow.
Because he explained the concept of bartering and what that is. And he is like, that specific LLC is the foundation of how I even, for all the business that I developed, it came from that foundation. So all the way to when I created T.O. Guy in college, I derived all of the things that I learned from that stage all the way to be able to build what I was trying to do.
That's good, man. Wow. It is man, that's a long-standing history. I wasn't sure if you were saying something, Terrell, but you were on mute. But man, that's a long-standing history, Julian. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I want for those in the comments who are listening to some of this, I mean, people's relationship and their road towards entrepreneurship happens in multiple different ways. It can start with these experiences when we're young and impressionable, like what Julian has shared, but then it can also happen in your adult life when you just recognize, like, I'm tired of not being able to make the decisions that I want to make. I'm tired of having to do it their way. I want to do it my way, because I know that if I'm able to do it my way, I can put something out into the earth that will be impactful and be really something that people really need. So we're going to move quickly to Saba. Saba, you are next. And I know this may not be a part of the story, but I know we promised folks yesterday
it's in the story.
Okay, it's in the story. So good. You let me know when to put it up on screen, but the time is yours. Tell us this. We're sitting on the edge of our seats.
Yeah, so we talked about this in the preview the other day, which was actually a great appetizer, even as a panelist. But I grew up in a 2-parent professional home. My dad's a professor, my mom's a nurse. They were all about get a great job, have security, get a 401k, and they're like, you should be a nurse. They're good jobs. And I was like, but I don't like sick people. I don't think that's going to be a good idea. So I had big dreams, like unrealistic, maybe even dreams. I wanted to be Oprah, like nothing in between where I was in Bering Springs and Oprah, but that's where I wanted to go. But I definitely started off my career. I was able to do internships at MTV. I was sure that I was going to get a job. I studied public relations. I was like, I'm going to work in PR. I'm going to be the person on TV. It was not. And I graduated into the recession. It was 2007. And it was like a weird time because it was like before we knew what was happening. It was just like things were soft. It went from I was getting callbacks and interviews to like weirdly quiet. So I moved back with my parents. I was working in a call center at Whirlpool, and it was okay. It wasn't what I had hoped to do, but ultimately, I just kept myself busy. And it was actually, I will say this, I didn't love the job, and I thought it was, but I knew it was temporary. But it gave me great training. It was, they taught me how to talk on the phone. They taught me how to de-escalate, with angry, store managers. I mean, people calling furious because they had damaged product and so on and so forth. And so every step of the way, at that point, I was like, you know what, seeing what the economy turned into, it was really clear that like employee needs and employer needs are not one and the same. They're not. It's not something that you can really rely on, and that was distinctly different from what my parents had the luxury of experiencing. Even though they were immigrants and of course super hardworking, I kind of knew that I wouldn't be able to just depend on like being a good worker, and I was a good worker. I would end up going into working at Essence, and it was an interesting time because it was still a soft economy, but like digital was coming up, but we're still like, we're a magazine. They're trying to find
their space,
how to exist as a brand across a lot of different platforms. Same thing was true when I went to work at Food Network and HGTV. I was there for 6 years, had a great career there, but I represented digital, which was not the TV, baby of the organization.
Right.
And throughout all those experiences, I learned about how hard it is for when you're really successful at one thing to divert attention and resources into something new, even if it has the potential of being promising. And then of course
Right.
there were other companies like Twitter. Twitter was something that started when I was at Essence 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and was never profitable until this past year. So I was seeing a lot of like, how does business really work? I don't really get it. So I continued to work. I was always in sales. Well, the last 70% of my career I was in sales. And so I got to work with a lot of clients directly and like see how their businesses work and what their concerns were. And over time I got more and more confident that like I can figure this out, I think. And I can also I don't have the burden of being so big that I can't plant some seeds in a place and water them and they grow over time. And it was scary in some ways, but at the same time, I felt personally that having to depend solely on an employer for my income and my livelihood was too high of a cost. And they expect everything. So there really wasn't enough time. It wasn't like a neat 9 to 5, and then in the evenings I could start doing something else. It was all day, every day, nights. So I had initially planned to start my own company when I was 35. That was my goal. I was like 35.
That's a good number.
But I actually took a job at a company and was getting ready to start there, and that company got sold. And they were like, yeah, we're on a hiring freeze.
Wow.
And it was like kind of terrifying, but it was like, you know what? This is it. This is the time.
This is it.
And I was like really glad, even though afterwards it was like really hectic. But the point that we promised and we will talk about right now is when I was thinking about what it was I wanted to do, right? So I was always conflicted in the big companies, like with what I felt was a lack of flexibility.
Right.
And not wanting to pigeonhole myself or get stuck somewhere, where I kind of focused on what the burden that I had always been feeling. And when I thought about how that exists in me and maybe why that is, the green light kind of came on, or the bright light came on when I realized it was kind of actually buried in my name. So my middle name is my middle name at birth. I changed it after I got married, but my middle name is Taguza. And Taguza was my paternal grandmother's name, and it actually means person who prepares the way, or person who gets ready, is a kind of more direct translation of it. And so that was, I think, what it was I realized was kind of always burning inside of me. Like, I want to help people. I want to be a bridge. I want to make a way possible to whatever it is that people are trying to accomplish. And that's pretty much what I've been able to do. And I've started kind of fundamentally starting with digital marketing, which is a big part of what I have always done, but also realizing, like, once you get into it with a client, you're talking to a CEO and they're talking about all their problems, you're like, oh, you have a structural communication problem internally that's keeping you from being able to respond in a dynamic way on social media or back to your customers, or you're hesitating to just say, like, buy now. Like, why all this drivel on your website? Just get to the point. People are here. If they found your website, they intend to do something. Make it easy for them. That's kind of been my story. Yeah. It's been pretty great.
There is just something so, just as individual and as unique as a fingerprint. I mean, people's story in terms of how they arrive at becoming a business owner or starting their own business or creating a project, whatever that is just always so unique. I know when we had the photographers show, we were talking about these stories of, everybody submitted a shot, and they were talking about, all of the different things that went into the shot. And sometimes they had to talk about even their mental space that they were in, some of the things that were happening at home when they went to do this shoot. And all really kind of comes together when we're talking about creating, and then that space is exactly where we at when we're talking about entrepreneurship as well.
And
Fred,
I just want to.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I just
no, go
want to
ahead.
say that the one thing, and I think if you're somebody who's considering becoming an entrepreneur, like I said, I kind of felt that burden pretty early on in my career, and I was really intentional about getting different types of professional experiences
Yes,
and talking
yes.
to a lot of different types of practitioners across the industry and across the whole business, right? So it's like, yeah, maybe I am in sales right now, but like I really need to understand product. I really need to understand marketing. I need to go and see what the accounting people are doing and like how they do accounts receivable. Like all of those things, if you are in a corporation of some sort already, there's a lot to take advantage of, I think. And I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
done that was just like, I'm just putting that in my back pocket. Most people are like, well, what do you care? You're just in sales. And I was like, well, that's what
Yeah.
you think.
Yeah, yeah, and what you're describing right now, and just as a shameless plug, is how it all works.
Right.
Sorry. I just have to make that connection. I'm sorry. I know
As
it was
you
like
should.
it was a really deep, profound moment. I apologize for taking for
No.
making it lighthearted, but no, but it's real. I mean, that's quite literally why we created this show, why we created this channel, because there you want to take those nuggets and just file them away. You may never use them, or you may use all of them. So. Subscribe. Fredrick Bussey, talk to us a little bit about your story, and then we're gonna move to Dr. Lewis, and she did that food. Talk to us.
Well, it's funny. First of all, it's funny that Julian, that my mother was one of
It's
his
amazing, right?
his teachers. Um, I was texting her just a second ago. She said, "Oh, that's my student." So that's pretty cool. So I guess interestingly enough, because my mother was my teacher as
Wow,
well. I
good.
was homeschooled for 12 years, the whole 12 years. And at the time, it's much more commonplace now, but then it was not. So my father was a minister, my mother was a teacher, and so I got used to being at home. So there are certain things, aspects of life that I just didn't grow up
Okay.
really seeing. Right, my father was a minister, so he was home a lot. His office was in the house,
Right.
so that kind of imprinted on me that it's okay that you don't actually have to wake up and go to an office.
Okay.
Although I often wondered what it would be like to be a businessman, to wake up and wear a suit every day and go to work. And also the thing was, I grew up in Mississippi, small town Alabama, small town Tennessee. You don't really see a lot of rich, wealthy people there, right? So you don't really know what that's about. And not that all entrepreneurs are super wealthy or anything, but the concept of being able to create wealth was something that always kind of intrigued me, but it was beyond my real understanding. Like now we have a lot more. We have shows like How It All Works, and there's so much information out there about what it means to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
So I'm just saying that to say that I didn't have a background in this at all, but I always had this sort of a hustle mentality about me, right? So growing up, 12, 13 years old, I would take my dad's lawnmower, go knock on my neighbors' houses and pitch, my services to cut the grass. Sometimes I'll bring my brother with me. He'd be the extra labor. Might make 40 or 50 bucks cutting grass, cutting lawns every 2 weeks or something like that. Nothing serious, it was back in the day. So, but I did that, and just the idea of being able to generate income when I needed it or when I wanted to, right? If I had to cut the grass in my house, I might as well get paid to cut it at somebody else's, that kind of a deal.
Yeah.
So fast forwarding through that, I developed a love for music. And one of my best friends at the time, he and his brother and myself, we ended up being in a singing group. And so we had hoop dreams of becoming superstars one day and cutting albums,
stage.
all that stuff, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
all through college, I was, writing, producing, we were singing, we'd be on the road a lot. And as I graduated college, we were still pursuing this whole career. And so you got a job, you're trying to create this career out of thin air. But having a 9 to 5 slows you down, because if you got to be on the road on the weekends, especially, then you got to come back to work. Having the flexibility was something that I really, really craved. So what I did was I started looking for opportunities to create my own business. And my first real quote unquote business was a commercial cleaning franchise. that I purchased. So I had about $200 in savings. I borrowed $300 from my parents, put the $500 down, financed the rest of the fee, the franchising fee. And so there I was. I was off and running into entrepreneurship. And so I really didn't understand what it was, but it was a great entryway for me to learn some of the ins and outs, right? How to pitch companies for business, how to price my product and services, different things that I was looking at, how I would measure my profit margin and things of that nature. And so I learned that if I went and got the business myself versus the company providing business for me, I could save 30%, off of my fees. So I'm able to increase my profit margins. So that type of a thing. And so I'm doing this while I'm working, and I've got a couple of jobs, a couple of contracts at night. And so I'm leaving. I was working at Men's Warehouse at the time, probably the best job that I ever had in terms of just the cool factor. It was just a really laid back environment. But at the same time, I still had to be there on time and clock out on time, et cetera. So I'm working that, doing that gig. And eventually I decided just in my mind, I can make more money and save more time if I'm working for myself.
Right.
So I'm going to quit my job, put in my 2 weeks notice. I had a couple of contracts or whatever that was paying me money. So I did that. I left the job. And for the first 2 or 3 months, I had just enough money to buy a few groceries, to get enough gas, to get to my jobs and come home.
Oh, my.
So I basically lived off peanut butter and oatmeal for the next 3 months until I was able to get another contract and eventually got broke free. And so that was my foray into entrepreneurship. I had that business for 7 years. It allowed me to transition from living in Alabama. I was out of Oakwood University at the time, and I was able to transition from there, from grad school to moving to Atlanta to transition from being in the group. I was actually moving into the music industry. I was writing and producing and things of that nature. And so I actually had my business back in Alabama while I was working in the music industry.
Wow.
And the plan was to get a job, a little side gig or whatever that would give me a little bit more income. And that actually didn't work out, but the whole story kind of transitioned. It's a much longer, it's kind of an interesting story, but it's a much longer story. But I transitioned from there to the music industry, from the creative side to the business side, from managing artists and things of that nature to being in publicity, PR, marketing, branding, that kind of a thing. Wow. And transition from there to realizing that the whole time, one of my strengths has been coaching. And so now I'm a business coach. And so still in the entrepreneurial space, still an investor, still a serial entrepreneur. But that was kind of my journey from realizing that you can create your own opportunities, right? If you want a different life, you can do that if you're willing to take the leap. Yeah. And so, one of the things that kind of holds us back a lot of times is the fear of what it would be to like scrounge and scrub. Do I have to live off of ramen noodles? And I know everybody here has kind of been in college, that whole lifestyle.
Yes,
but
indeed.
When you get out of school, that's not what you want to go back to. But being able to do that allowed me to take that leap. And actually, it's been a cycle of sometimes you have to do that. You have to go back to the ramen noodles, to the peanut butter and oatmeal before you can take that next step. But for me, it's a lifestyle now. I've been an entrepreneur for nearly 20 years. So, that's a journey.
It's interesting. Even as you look at the whole taking the leap piece, it's also a fundamental shift that has to happen in the mind in terms of making an investment in yourself, like betting on you that you will come through, that you will actually make it. It's an interesting space to get to, and it's an interesting space to get through in order to actually start that next piece. I know, Fiona, you have to leave on time, so we're with you, and it is your time, and I'm hoping that we can get the full story before you have to leave us. Go ahead.
I don't think you could get the full story. It's too much, but I'll make it short. The earliest back I can remember selling something and somebody paying for it, was when I was an undergrad, going to Hunter College in New York, and I was selling spa baskets to family and friends, and they actually bought my stuff. But I grew up in a single parent household. My mom moved this year, my sister and I, from Guyana.
Guyana.
So that thing was always that you go get an education, a really good one, get a stable job. And Right, every Caribbean parent, and it needed to be in healthcare, and so that didn't really resonate with me. So I tried as much as I could, and along the way, moving between, I was always a very good in terms of investing in myself, self-development, in terms of my education and degrees, and along the way, I picked up a lot of ideas that I didn't grow up with. So, for instance, the idea of in public health, where we talk about the social determinants of health, and that health is not, or poor health, disproportionate amounts of diseases that we see in communities of color is not just because people don't eat well or because they don't exercise, that there are structural things happening. And one of those structural things is actually an issue that we've talked about in terms of economic disparities in systems that don't allow for fair access to capital. So along the way, as I was growing up, the kind of ideas kind of stayed with me, especially while I was working on my doctorate. And so my intention with the doctorate was to address the disproportionate health, lifestyle-related health factors or health things that were happening in communities of color. But for some reason in my mind, I thought about how do we address the economic portions of that contribute to poor health. The only thing that came to mind was to go into business and start creating or being part of the larger conversation or actions where we create our own economy.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's been like, wow, because that's going into business was the last thing that I had on my mind. I've always been creative, but going into business is not what I had in mind for sure. It's been a bit challenging, but rewarding at the same time because I get to pull in all of my training, and the training is sometimes it seems like oil and water because here's this doctorate degree with public health, and here is this nutrition kind of clinical, and then straight out of nowhere here is this culinary degree. Like how do you put it all together?
Right.
And in the process, I'm understanding that representation matters. And I'll say it in this way. In the field of dietetics, it's only 3% Blacks.
Wow.
And either way, where most dietitians work is in the clinical setting. A lot of them do not go into business, much less ones from communities of color. So now to go into business to represent communities of color on the end of representation, them seeing, dietitians of color, seeing other dietitians who can go into business and be successful. So that now it's all about creating a legacy in terms of family and generational wealth, as opposed to just working for myself. I just never resonated with academia and writing NIH grants and doing all this research. I did all sorts of research fellowships and whatnot, but somehow it never read the prescribed program of how you're supposed to be successful in that arena just never really resonated with me in terms of my personal values. So I just really wanted to take it somewhere else and try to pull in everything that I've learned along the way and all my networking and whatnot to make it something where not only I would benefit, but I would be creating jobs for others. And I'll end it this way. I heard someone say that our children cannot inherit our jobs. Our children inherit, what we build and create. And so that really stuck with me, and I wanted to pull in everything I had learned along the way, every fellowship, every degree, every training to do this thing. I mean, I tried in 2017 when I left our mutual place of employment, and I failed miserably. I was trying to sell aprons, They were really beautiful aprons. Everybody loved them, but I didn't have the knowledge at the time about how to scale things up and to grow. So that actually died. So I got disappointed and tried to go back to academia. And then the Lord was like, you're not doing that. We're going to start again. And so here I am now with different ideas.
Right.
I'm scalable. So every time I tried and failed, I've gotten the wisdom, as someone said, to kind of build on the failure to take me elsewhere.
That's amazing. I'm glad you mentioned that part, man, because I think that's a part of the. As somebody said it in terms of the definition of entrepreneurship, the failure part is critical and integral to the whole process of being an entrepreneur. And I'm glad we're not missing that piece at all, because I think the viewers need to hear that is integral. That is a part of it. You know, it isn't all smiles and fat bank accounts. It is the ramen noodles, is like so what Fredrick was talking about a second ago. It is the failures. And having those experiences, but being able to pull from them nuggets of wisdom that you can take into the next venture. And I guess the whole point that we're hearing from you, Fiona, and from several others, is that you got to keep trying. You got to keep trying. You got to keep trying. Got to keep moving forward. That's amazing, and we appreciate you sharing that part. Man, Terrel, I know we are right at the cutoff mark, but we're gonna get your story, and I actually want to do two things here, two quick things. Well, one of the things is that I know you have a couple of things that you wanted to talk through, but I wanted to specifically I know you'd send me a video, and I wanted to show that. It's maybe 60 seconds, and if we can show that, and then you can speak to that particular venture. Just give us a little tidbit about it, and then we'll move on to the last piece before we close it out. So here is that video.
I want to say just something real quick. There's something special about this country we live in. What makes it special in many ways is the entrepreneurial spirit. The folks that say, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone, I'm going to start something that's special for those that I'm around and for my family, and I'm going to take a risk. These gentlemen behind me and Super Chef, they are risk takers for the benefit of the community and those around them and for their families. I respect that tremendously. And I think what you'll find is you're a great addition to our family. In the end, we'll also be a great addition to your family.
Okay. All right. So Terrel, tell us a little bit, some of the backstory of that particular project. I know you got multiple. I know you could give us the origin story as well, but just give us some details on that particular project.
Yeah. So that particular project was right after I would say a year after I graduated from Oakwood. My main thing with Oakwood was being able to self-sustain entrepreneurship wise, so that I wouldn't have to work for the man, as you could say. And I remember I had a few successful businesses, so I was pretty much self-sustaining, and I wanted to go into the restaurant industry. I didn't know anything about the restaurant industry, but I had a mentor that pretty much started with the McDonald's, and he was giving me advice on certain franchises that I should pretty much purchase. So I went in, and I was at my office one day, and my aunt came in, and she pretty much was saying that I had a McDonald's handbook on my desk and a couple other ones. And she said, "Oh, what are you getting into?" And I said, "Well, I'm thinking about investing in a franchise." And she was like, "Well, you heard of this guy named Darnell Ferguson? He's pretty much a celebrity chef, went to the Olympics as a chef and pretty much cooked for at the time, President Bush. And they gave him the nickname Superhero Chef. So
Right.
he had been really going up in his culinary, and he had started a chain of restaurants called Super Chefs. So I was like, she mentioned it to him. She was like, I really think you should connect with him and maybe go see him or call him. So I called him up one day, and Julian knows me. I'm a very impulsive person. So if I want to do something, I'm like, let me do it all the way. So I called him up and I said, I'm an investor. I would like to think about investing. And I remember after I got off the phone, I called one of my friends and I said, hey, I need you to dress up in a suit. I need you to be my chauffeur. And
Hey,
I
man.
need you to drop me in the front of the restaurant.
Come on, brother.
I need you to drop me off in the front of the restaurant. Once you get out, I want you to come in and just act like you're my driver. Just go with it. And so we went in there, and pretty much he had like a spread. He was pretty much giving me like everything, really selling me on this. And I said, I was so impressed with just his, like the things that he's been on, like Food Network channel, won so many different awards and stuff like that. And I remember he said, I've been praying for a partner, and I feel like you're that partner. And he was like, well, I've gotten a lot of offers and stuff like that, but I feel like the energy is something's going on. I feel like we'll be a good vibe. So I get back, I drive, I type up a proposal that weekend. I called Julie and I was like, okay, now that he's interested, what are we gonna do? So from that end, we pretty much put together some proposals, and I ended up getting him to sign a deal where I would be a co-owner of one of his chains from here on out. So we ended up doing like a complete rebranding where we named it Superhero Chefs, and we have 4 restaurants, and we're growing as each year. And the goal is that as we move forward to multiple restaurants, we partner in other different ventures. But I say all that to say is that it really took entrepreneurship. I really didn't know anything about the restaurant industry. I had to learn it within a year. It took a year for me to be able to get funded. So I promised him that I would fund his restaurants, but I had no money to fund it. Let me make sure I was clear with that. So with me understanding what the restaurant, what industry was, and understanding what the capital was, and just having mentorships, at the end of the year when we were finalizing, I'm like, dang God, I really need to come through for this guy. We ended up closing a multi-million-dollar deal, which was allowing us to be able to open up multiple franchises, at least one a year.
Wow.
And I would literally go, like certain buildings that I wanted the restaurants to be, I would go and pray over them at night. I mean, get on my knees, like just praying, just advocating of like, God, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I know that I need it to happen. And that's much how that venture came to be. It got my intro into the restaurant industry, and like it's something that is definitely exciting. And it's been one of my biggest ventures. So that's particularly when it comes to that thing.
Man, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Listen, I know we are over our time, but I want to just pose one final parting question to the panel. Some people have put it in the comments. What is your number one piece of advice to those who are thinking about taking the leap, to those who want to go into entrepreneurship, who are probably at the same position that you may have been at some point in time when you were thinking about doing this thing? What is that piece of advice? It doesn't necessarily have to be something that says take the leap, because look, this thing, you have to be ready for it. You got to understand your why. But what is your piece of advice? What is something that they can do, something practical that they could do today that would help them as they're in that position? They're thinking about making this leap. They're thinking about betting on themselves. What would your number one piece of advice, number one practical thing they could do? What would that be? And we can do rapid fire. It doesn't matter who goes first here.
I can start us off if y'all don't mind. One of the things that I've lived by in every business that I've created, in every business I've partnered with, is to be a conduit of blessings. Like I feel like throughout your life, it's like it's God who provides you with these resources. It's God that makes sure that you're able to fulfill the mission that He's placed upon you. So the goal ultimately is to be a conduit of those blessings. There's this book that everything that I do, I found in that book. And the book is by Bob Berg. It's called The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver. Okay. And a go-giver, like you've heard of the phrase, you got to be a go-getter, especially when it comes to being an entrepreneur. But a go-giver is a go-giver is someone who focuses and contributes on adding value to someone else.
Wow.
That's their whole focus. That's their goal. So when it comes to providing a service, providing a product, it's like the ultimate goal there is to make sure that you're helping, you're providing, you're putting more into serving others than what you're getting out of it. And so my piece of advice there is to make sure that you're that conduit of blessings for others, that you are providing, or you're focusing more so on being a go-giver. And I think having that mindset, you'll be able to attain more success than you can even imagine.
That's good. I appreciate that. Anybody else want to touch that thing? A go-giver. I like that.
I would say one thing I would give entrepreneurs is that, which I've always had the mindset of just being able to really master how to be a serial entrepreneur. From when I was just like Julian, I started a candy business, and I have a family of 5, so pretty much like contracting them to sell candy from me, starting a line, doing certain things like that. You have to really master, like, okay, how can I get one business successful? And then how can I pour that income into another business to the point where, like, if something were to fall through, I have multiple streams coming in so that I have that cushion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because industry can come and go.
They can come and go. This is true. Anybody else want to touch it real quick before we close out?
I want to say a couple of things. One, I think it's important to quit early when it's something's not working. As an entrepreneur, you have certain limits. I think time is so much more valuable when it's your time and it's your business. But not being afraid to know when to call it and being able to reinvent. I think, again, that comfort in the try, fail, try again, reinvent, that's, I think, critical to growth and to, I think understanding who you are as an entrepreneur and sometimes separating that from what your ideas are, your entrepreneurial ideas are, is critical to you being able to navigate this. The second thing I would say is be really clear on the lifestyle that you want, and having those boundaries. Because yes, you are the boss. There's no one to have excuses for. But like, I was not going to sell my soul in corporate America for money. I'm still not going to do it. Like, I am really clear on what my boundaries are. I have 3 kids, so I also am super clear about where my work is in all of my hierarchy, where my health fits in. So I think even in owning this business and being the owner of it, like, be the CEO of your whole self. Because if your health isn't there for you, then you can't run your business. You can't take care of your employees, like Terrel was talking about. You can't be a go-giver, like Julian referenced. You can't support and coach others. So always owning that. And the last thing I will say is there is this interview that T.D. Jakes did with Stephen Fredrick when he wrote his book Soar. It is on YouTube. It is 1 hour and 40 minutes. It is divine. It is practical. It is sometimes when I need a boost here or there, it is that. I think everyone should listen to that, whether or not they are an entrepreneur.
I couldn't agree more.
So I can find the link and maybe share it in the comments when I get off. But I search for it. If you search SOAR, SOAR, T.D. Jakes and Stephen Fredrick.
Yep. Yeah. That was a really good one. That's something that I go back to. You're right, multiple times. Anybody else? I don't want to cut anybody off. And Fiona, if you have to go, we totally understand. But if anybody else wanted to touch on that question, on that comment. What is your number one piece of advice? I know we had a couple of people touch on it already, and if we don't, that's fine too. So what I want to do here at this point is I want to close out, but I want to show something that at least 2 members of the panel were involved in. It is a Entrepreneur Week at Oakwood University. And it is something that was basically spearheaded by Julian Waddell. He wants to stay modest. He did not submit this. I'm just letting you guys know. I had to pull this out from somewhere else. He did not submit this to us. But I think that this was the first of its kind, right, Julian? This was the first of its kind. And I think what they were able to accomplish there and some of the things they were able to expose these young people to is phenomenal. Something I wish I had when I was in school. And so I want to show that clip. And when that clip is done, we will play the outro, and we'll be done. So before I do that, I want to take a moment to just say a word of thanks to everybody that has come out on the panel. I am definitely going to be reaching back out to each one of you for some version of a part two, however that manifests itself. I'm not certain how I'm going to do that, but definitely will have probably less people on the panel next time. So we can spend some more time diving into some of the guts of what you're sharing. But yes.
Kirk, I just wanted to add quite quick. I had a couple of points that I wanted to just piggyback
Okay,
off of
yeah,
what
please go ahead.
Julian and Saba said. One thing is that one thing I want people to think about too is that you need to become self-aware, right? So I wrote a book last year called Breaking Orbit, which talks about how to discover your gift. And I realized that that's something that we're not taught. Everybody has a unique superpower and a unique ability to do that. You don't have to use your superpower to be successful in entrepreneurship. However, if you discover that, it streamlines everything. It makes it so much easier. You live a so much more fulfilled and happy life because you can marry your gift with your passion and your purpose, right? And so what Julian was talking about with being the go-giver, we're meant to serve, but our gift is the way that we're designed to do that. And what we need to understand is that entrepreneurship is really, it's really the vehicle for everybody to use their gift to create wealth and a lifestyle for themselves and their family. The idea of having a job, going to school, having a job, and working in a company is a relatively new one in human history, right? So even the middle class was manufactured. That's why so many people came to America, because you could get rich in America, whereas in other countries, you were either poor and you were stayed there for the rest of your life,
right,
or you were born rich. So America was this new idea. And so America created this middle class. But now we are in a period of history where people are being forced to have to choose, right? These jobs are being taken away. The world is in upheaval. But if you can tap into your ability to create your own life, to create solutions for the world that is really evolving now, then you have a tremendous opportunity to do that in a way that it's never been done before.
Absolutely.
Right? But you can't do that if you are tied to this old idea of my job is my identity, my stature is my identity, my degree is my identity. You know, I think Terrel and Julian have talked about making this up. You know, you have to discover you have to make things up as you go along. You have to learn things new. Well, really, that your gift is your capacity to do that. It gives you the confidence to be able to do that, because you're not worried about whether it's going to fail, because your gift is your ability to, your capacity to create a certain impact in the world. Your gift isn't going to fail. So become more self-aware, know where you show up in the world, where your impact is, and then start listening, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, what they do when they start a business, they do it, one, because they have no choice, or they do it as a side hustle, but they get so married to their idea, like what Saba was talking about, quit when it's not working. One of the reasons it doesn't work is because you're not paying attention to what the market is telling you, right? You can't sell people something they don't want to buy. But if you go out and listen to what's missing, which is what I hear with Terrel, what Saba, what Fiona, what Julian's been doing, they've been listening and saying, this doesn't exist.
Right.
So let me give it to people.
Let me give it to them. Right.
Right. It's not hard to sell people aspirin when they have a headache, right? But if you're not paying attention to what the headache is, you won't know to offer that solution. So being self-aware and learning to listen, being humble, I think those are really, really great keys. There are a lot of people out there who want to be entrepreneurs, who want to start a business, who have a dream inside them, but don't have the confidence to do it because they don't know where to start. Wow. And really just start with yourself, where you are. What is special about you? How do you show up in the world? And then listen to people, and then start marrying those two things together. It's a great place to begin. And don't worry about failure, because failure there's no such thing as failure if you're learning the lessons from your bumping your head.
Yeah, from experiences.
And you don't quit, right? Steve Harvey said it best. If you quit, you guarantee that you'll never make it.
Guaranteed.
But if you keep going, if you keep reinventing yourself, if you keep listening, if you keep learning, you're going to succeed. So
wow.
I just want to leave that with people.
No, man, that was good, and I'm glad you interjected. We needed to end off with that. I don't know if anybody else wanted to touch it before we go, but we needed to end off with that. Somebody's saying in the comments, we need a part 2. Your gift gives you confidence to fail. Your gift isn't going to fail. Man, there's a lot, just over broke. Somebody saying job means just over broke. While, while, my goodness, man, the link that Saba referenced, somebody has shared that in the chat, or maybe they're asking for it. Is that what it is? I think they're asking for it. So we're gonna make sure we share that as well. Somebody's also saying they're gonna go back and watch this thing again. Be the CEO of yourself. These are quotes that they're pulling from things that we have shared. Finding that balance, the Go-Giver, I'll have to go check that out. That's a good book. Somebody's saying the Go-Giver. So man, listen, this has been a phenomenal experience. I would love to continue the conversation a little longer, but I'm also mindful of my panelists' time and the commitment that they've made to me, and I'm just so thankful that you've been able to stick around this much longer. I want to just play this clip, and after we play this clip, we will conclude the program.
Imagine hearing real-world success stories from creative people who paved their own way. That's what Oakwood students experience. Community entrepreneurs ranging from artists to chefs came together to showcase their businesses and speak candidly about their industries. Keynote speaker Justin Mickens of Fancy Logo Films shared his experiences working as a film producer in Hollywood. Walking in your entrepreneurial purpose was a really exciting event. Students got to question a panel of professional entrepreneurs. The topics range from major fails to how being the youngest in the room can actually be an advantage. We invited Disney Vice President Dr. Mark Henry to share his experience for the Dykes Rivers Lecture Series. College entrepreneurs got to pitch their business ideas to an elite panel of judges at the Launch You pitch competition. Winners received up to $5,000 for their startup. They even got an all-expense-paid trip to San Diego to compete nationally. Huntsville has resources like Urban Engine's Co-working Night, Huntsville Steamworks, the Biz Factory, and Innovate Huntsville. Prospective fashion designers and music creators collaborated to showcase their work to fellow students and local businesses. This event opened opportunities for students to express their creativity and also network. Let's expose young, brilliant minds to the full spectrum and endless possibilities that entrepreneurship has to offer.
Yeah. That thing was fire. That thing was fire. Julian, in 1 minute, I don't know if you can do it, but in 1 minute, can you just give us some of the impetus around creating that space for students?
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So ultimately, what I noticed, like for myself, when I was a student, I wish I had something like that.
Okay.
I remember, like I said, I came to college with a business. Like my very first day, I took every amount of money that I saved up, and I had another candy business, and I went door to door every night at curfew selling snacks. And I remember it's like my thought process around that was like, man, it's like I feel like I've learned a lot on my own, but I wish that I could find someone that could help me harness how to be an entrepreneur. And so when I eventually came back to Oakwood, that's something that I wanted to be able to do, create that sandbox for creative entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship in general, so that people can be able to test out their ideas in a safe environment. Because within that environment, I look at college in general, that a business statistically turns profit within 3 years, and you're in college for 4 years. So during that time frame, it's the perfect environment, the perfect sandbox to be able to figure out, test out your idea and seeing if it's something, and if it does work out, you're able to transition right out of that and become right into it.
Right. That's good.
So that's what I want to be. That's what I'm working on. That's what I've been developing.
That's good. That's good. Terrel, closing words. Where can people find you? What's the new hustle? What can people support?
I would say where can people find me? Definitely Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook. The new ventures that Julian and I are working on a new network that's going to be launching next year. So it'll be something really big. We're doing some major investments with a group of people. So new network coming in. We're also just started a VC firm.
Okay.
So looking to see what we can do from there.
Okay. All right. Fredrick, where can people find you? What's the current thing? I know you talked about the coaching and stuff, but just give people a little bit about where they can follow up with you.
Yeah, man. You can see me on my website, fredrickbussey.com. I'm on Instagram, fredrick.bussey, Facebook, Fredrick Bussey, Twitter, same thing. I have a group, Facebook group for 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs called the 7 Figure Circle, which is also the name of my coaching program. For those of you who would like to be in a community where we do trainings that are around different topics that people are interested in, learning about how to scale their business, to get the support from fellow entrepreneurs, etc. Then check out the 7 Figure Circle, $1 Million Mastermind on Facebook.
Right.
We don't let everybody in, so it's we have a few questions. We want to make sure that we keep the community, people who are committed to being entrepreneurs and committed to growing and learning on the journey. But if that sounds like a place that you would like to be, then drop us a line and drop us a request to join, and we'd be happy to have you. Also, if you're interested in having some coaching, then shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm more than happy, or you can DM me on Instagram, but I'm more than happy to see if we have a fit for you with our program to help you level up and create the life that you deserve.
Look at that. That's good. That's good. Saba, talk to us a little bit about, the current hustle and where can people find you? Where can they follow you?
Yeah, well, you can contact me through our website, Teguza, teguza.com. We're still doing a lot of digital marketing consultation and internal communications, but we also have a host of different types of speakers and entertainers, especially people of color, that we provide for corporate events, who provide expertise. We do panels, live streaming panels. We also do live events when COVID is over. So if you're interested or you have a really unique expertise, definitely reach out to me. We'd love to hear what you're about, what you're able to share, because we are connected to a lot of corporations looking to hear from Black and brown people across a lot of different topics.
I can personally attest. This is the truth. This is the truth. The appointment is already booked. So
the appointment is booked and the money is real. So definitely.
I can personally testify. Teguza is the real thing. Okay. Julian, just a few closing words, and then where can people find you? We know you're working on this entrepreneurship program at Oakwood University, but talk to us. What else are you doing? And maybe that's a loaded question for Julian, but talk to us about a little bit of what you're doing and where people can follow you.
All right. Well, Ideal Wingman is that's where you can look me up. That's basically where it is. But outside of that, what my company, one of my main companies, I actually have a shirt, is T.O. Guy.
Yeah, I saw it on there.
And one of the things that we focus on is helping entrepreneurship supporting organizations get subject matter experts to be able to help startups.
Yeah.
And so we come in, help develop accelerators, incubators, providing them with experts so that they can be able to directly impact the future startups, the future entrepreneurs, to be able to gather that success. So in a nutshell, we're your entrepreneurial strategists. And so we go in and we act as your expert to be able to help, so you can just focus on what's important to you. So,
man, that's good. That's good. Well, folks, man, the time has been well spent, and it's far spent. It's overspent. We're in the red right now, and I appreciate the panel for being gracious and sticking with us along the way. Even though we did lose one, but she let me know that long before. So we're so thankful that Fiona was able to join us, and I'm hoping that we gave you some perspective. I'm hoping that you are walking away with some nuggets of wisdom, some practical things that you can take and activate in your life, in your business, in your plan tomorrow. And hoping that we also peeled back the veil a little bit, allowed you to see behind the curtain of what entrepreneurship can be like or could be like, how that story for you may have already begun. And you're on your journey and you didn't even know it, and that was brought out in the experiences that were shared today. Essentially, what we're saying is we're hoping that somewhere along the way we helped you to figure out how it all works. That's it for us today. We appreciate you taking the time with us and sticking with us. We got this quick little outro to play, and then we'll send you on your way. Again, my special thanks to the panel. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.